Harvard and worked for 4 major cities in the world for over 10 years, including studying with San Francisco, Hong Kong, and London and New York. Since 2010, he has been teaching at the Korean University. Started with the Konkuk University and now at Korea University. He's going to speak today on a very interesting topic of remembering Yongsan Garrison and urban memory archiving projects. So without further ado, let's welcome Professor Oh with a big round of applause.
Thank you. Right. How do I reverse? Thank you all for coming. I don't know why I'm nervous. I've given talks many different places, but it's very interesting to see, such a wide age group, and I'm very pleased to be here, and it's my honor to speak at this prestigious format. And I think the reason I'm nervous is because there's so much that I want to talk to you about, but obviously I've given only 55 minutes to talk about it. And I'm nervous because I'm not only talking about the project that the part that I've worked on, but we have so many people who helped this project get it up there and going, and I don't want to let them down. So there's so many things that I want to touch upon, but with the given time, I decided to focus on my expertise and talk to you about how I started this project and where it's going and how it has evolved over the last 4 years. Yeah,
I've been there.
Is there a way to swap?
I'm trying to take out the swap button. There we are. Yeah, swap display.
Much better.
Okay. So I want to start by, thank you. I want to start by showing you a video clip. Sorry. Now what? How do I play the video?
So just go to this page there, okay, now. The desktop.
The video.
Right, yeah.
So I thought hard about how to start this presentation, but I want to begin by showing you a video clip, which will play in a bit. That one. Okay. So this is a video clip. It's not long. It's only a minute and a half. And this is I mean, you don't need to hear the sound, but it looks like it's any alleyway that you will find. This is in Hanam Village, the backside of the Hanam Village. It's close to Hangangjin Station. And basically I'm walking down the alleyway. So it's, I'm sure you are very familiar with this sort of urban scape with a lot of shops and restaurants. And in the distance, you start to see Hannan Village, which used to be a 570th ward, and later on it was called Niccolo Barracks. And then they converted into a housing for U.S. Army personnel and families. And recently there have been a lot of posts on this compound, which is now going through a development to house very luxurious condos. So that's the entrance. You see, I think it's still there if you'd like to peek. But it's sort of, I'm sure you've all walked in these type of alleyways. So, and the reason I'm showing you this clip is because there was a person that who was very dear to us, to the team, and his story tells, I think, his story is the essence of what we're trying to capture. And we sort of come back to his story over and over again because we feel that this represents the reference for what we are trying to do. So his name is George Brin. He's now 84 years old. He was in Korea briefly from 1958 to 1959. And he met this person, Marie Huang, and they dated and they lived together in the area that I just showed you. He was 21 years old when he was in Korea, and he was an auto mechanic. He now lives in Florida. So this was a photo from him, 1959, the entrance of Hannan Village, 570th board coordinate. Then, now it's a Hannan Village. Now it's all demolished. All these housings are sort of bulldozed down now, ready for luxurious apartments. This is a sketch that he gave us. Oh, sorry. Right here. He did this and he sent it to us. And he's sort of identifying where he worked. This is the 570th coordinate. And this is the entrance that we saw a little bit. And this is the route that he took every day to go see his girlfriend, Marie. And that's the alleyway that I showed you, took a video of. Right? And we superimposed this sketch on top of the aerial photo of 1960s and now, and you can see some of the infrastructure that is the road layout and parks and things very similar, right, to today. Lium Museum is right about here. So this is him now. He's been searching for Marie for the last 15 years, now 16 years. He's married, he has kids, he has grandkids. But he feels that he, I'm sure that he has a lot of things going on in his mind, and he's on the verge of getting depressed. He may require some medication, and this is something that he needs to get over. He feels like he just wants to find Marie, or just hear about Marie and how she's doing. It's not that he wants to, rekindle old love or anything like that, but he's really heartfelt about the fact that he left her in Korea. He has promised to take her to States and promised a lot of things. And I think he feels, I don't know, it's hard to put it in words. I think we had video conferences, and my wife Coco has about 400 pages of correspondence with George since we got in touch with him last July or June. And he's been very, very active with Yongsan Legacy because on the hopes that he may find Marie through this project. And so we've been helping, posting posters on the streets, but obviously it'll be very, very difficult to find her. It was before 1960s, and it's almost impossible to find any traces of Marie. So I want you to sort of go over, I want to read a portion from his email. He talks about how poor Korea was, and this is a letter to his grandchildren. And he says, each time I would walk up the hill into the village, the Korean children and adult civilians would have a smile for me. I would sometimes sing, "Oh my darling Clementine," that Marie taught me in Korean, and this will bring laughter from the Korean civilians. Surely all decent GIs left part of their heart in South Korea. So this sort of, I don't know, for me it stirs up something in me, and something that I think it really touches on human psyche, that it's a story that that we would like to hear and like to help. So if you were to walk, whenever I visit Itaewon again, my wife and I try to swing by this road, just because it's I know 70 years ago, George has walked that road, the same road, to see his loved one. And it sort of, we did a lot of things together with my wife and other team members to come up with a way to make this George's story, and also this sort of dynamic that exists in urban fabric be sort of imparted to other people, and they could feel the same way. That sort of intrinsically, that's the goal and aim of Yongsan Legacy as I see it. So if you were to see the video again, I'm sure you would sort of see it in a different light. And I think that's where it has such power in creating this sort of another layer, augmenting a existing urban environment into something that you feel associated, rather than just an infrastructure that's cars and people walk. And since the beginning of the project, I had this sort of list of questions in my mind. The reason, after working for many firms, I decided to go into teaching because there was something in me that I believed in urban public open spaces, the value of public open spaces, that it can be a lot more. It should do a lot more. It's not just infrastructure. It's not just a piece of land that the public owns, but rather it can capture the imagination and inspirations, and it can motivate people. So I think urban designers are starting to ask these questions in different realms. It's not just about open spaces, but because urban designers deal with the public space, public infrastructure. In a way, everyone's owner, but then there's no ownership. No one really claims ownership of public open space. So, things like Yongsan Garrison. How do we remember a place like Yongsan Garrison? It's 70 years old. There are about 3.5 million GIs pass through that place. That's not counting the family members, friends. It's a history itself, right? But now it's going to get turned over to Koreans, right? And they're trying to build a park. They're not saying it's irrelevant, the story and history of the site, but they don't even know how to make it, right, relevant for themselves. What do we keep and what do we delete? Right? Is it simply choosing one versus another? Or can public spaces bring people together and bridge social, racial, and generation gaps? Can we design and deliver public spaces that embody public value and inspire human spirit? These are some of the questions that I had even before sort of I got to start on Yongsan project. So before I begin, I don't want to disappoint anyone. I'm not going to talk about Yongsan Park master plan. The reason I'm going to explain to you later, but it's I'm going to talk about Yongsan Legacy. It's an archival project that we're trying to make the stories and the people be part of something greater that can be used in sort of layering a urban space. So like I said before in the beginning, I wanted to sort of, there's so many aspects of Yongsan Garrison, and there are so many sort of disciplines that can sort of address, talk about Yongsan Garrison. But I want to focus on the aspect that I can speak on from my expertise, and therefore I want to talk about Yongsan Legacy Project from a urban designer's point of view. It's not an archival project by sociologists or anthropologists or geographers. It's a archival project which I sort of started and then structured it so that it could create a better